What's up, everybody? This is Afro Filipina Omilani, and I'm guest hosting for Asiana Post. And I'm here with my brother Talilo. We're about to talk about Big Flip. We're about to talk about a lot of things because he's an artist and so much more. So let's just start it off with that. Like, talk to us about you. Who are you? Let me know some things about like what was the journey?
Yeah, my name is Talilo Marfil. Been a long time coming. I've been rapping since I was 16 years old, on the streets of Portland for change because people was walking past my sign. So I started tapping my chest at Pioneer Square, and people started paying attention then, and it kind of went hand in hand in terms of like doing poetry and like going through these programs as a young youth and having a partner that was pregnant at the time. It really like something that became a form of expression turned into a form of survival. So that's my come up as an artist, is it came from that. And then when I went to prison, it became a form of therapy for me. So I was banging on the windows, banging in my cell, just rapping, perfecting my craft. It was there for me when no one else wasn't.
Wow, that's deep. That's touching.
Yeah.
Um no, you were saying that about how you got started and things like that.
Oh, feeling for change. Oh, I'm talking about change, like money.
Oh,
I was
oh,
rapping in Portland for money so I
got
can
it,
go
got
buy
it.
food because my sign was asking people for money for food so I
Mhm.
can feed my partner because she was pregnant.
Wow.
But the sign, she was next to me. That's my ex. She was next to me,
Yeah.
and the sign said that she was pregnant, but people kept walking past me, and I heard change in their pocket, and then I got really mad, and I was like, you know what? I'm fucking make you hear me. And I started hitting my chest downtown, and then they started listening to me.
That's something we don't think about, because we do walk past people, and a lot of people judge people or they make presumptions about what people are really doing when they're asking for money, and I don't know, sometimes there is a feeling of entitlement, like, why should I give or why should I do that, but it's a lot of people hurting and struggling,
And
and
been struggling,
yeah,
and it's good not to judge, and also it's real though too. Some people do use that money for other ways to cope that are more negative. So it just comes with the environment. It comes with there's no like quick easy solution. Giving someone change doesn't fix their reality, but it could help them get by in whatever they define as getting by for them. And
yes,
for me at that moment, defining for me, it was feeding my unborn child and my partner, and rapping in front of people and using the science of how to get someone's attention or how to use your personality to connect with people. Kind of it it matured through the struggle. So I know there's people that are like scared to talk in front of people. Me, I'm a lot more seasoned than that because I come from that. I come from having to do it,
yeah,
uh, and it kind of helps with being a musician too, because we as musicians we do a lot of socializing.
yeah. What did you rap about?
I was more on the Christian side at the time, so I was rapping about Christian principles at the time that I no longer like live by, just based on decolonizing my own mind. But at the time, that was something that was in my lyrics, was like my reality, my social issues,
Yeah.
my spiritual battle, and then you know that's definitely what started my rapping journey, was more spiritual stuff.
What do you think it was about music in particular? Like, did you show like some sort of like what did you lean towards music when you were younger? Was it like what's your connection with the music?
My connection with the music. So I didn't grow up like necessarily like musical. Um, I was like forced to go to church as a kid, heard it there. And then I heard it in the 90s when I was in the Bay, like listening to hip hop. And out of all the artists that really hit me was like Tupac and Bone Thugs and Tech Nine. Like those three were like my biggest influences, plus Bay Area influences like Spice One, Brother Lynch, Andre Nicotina. You know what I mean? Like Nump. Nump was like a big influence to me. He's in my inbox now. Like I got his number now. It's crazy. He's dope. Supports me. But yeah, like a lot of these artists kind of like shaped me and in my expression and the way I choose to express myself. But I think the most influential was Tupac, because he talked about social issues in a very attractive way. And then cats like Bamboo like talked about social issues, but made it more specific to Filipino struggle. So, and then Tech Nine and Bone Thugs gave me the living it up to the fullest, battling demons and taking a bullet. Let's go. And then I might have a criminal, difficult, critical, ready to pull it no more. That's like my own lyrics. Like I wrote that in a way that kind of mimicked their style, but still made it my own. And then Tech Nine gave me that like aggressive, like coming up with it. I gotta get it every time that I be holding. I'm like, I want to be giving it right back, which I read. Like that gives me like more aggressive, like uh, machine gun type of style. So I think all of it gave me a way to express myself, because without it, um, I would have went back to prison, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, man, like people don't understand sometimes how healing music is, or how like it traverses, different things about us. I want to ask you though, I love your name. Tell me about your name. I know you asked me about mine too. I'm gonna tell you about it, but tell me about your name.
Yeah, my name is Talilo. It's it's short for Tala, which is star, and then Ilog, and I have it on my face in Baybayin. Um, uh, it stands for river, and it translates to star of the river. Or like in my culture, Filipinos are river people. If you look at Hiligaynon in Ilonggo or Basayas, it means where the river flows from. Or you look at Tagalog is people of the river, so mine is star of the river.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, my name Omilani means water,
I love
and
that.
yeah, thank you. And I
What are
also,
you?
huh?
What
Oh,
are
I'm
you? Ethnicity?
I'm Afro-Filipina. I'm Black and Filipina with roots in
Hey.
Mindanao. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're familiar with Basayans because
Oh
we're in.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta represent that big. You know why? Because sometimes I feel like people don't get love to the Visayas. Like they,
Mm-hmm.
they treat it like the other, and I don't like that. And my people are from Sambuanga, which
Mm-hmm.
also gets a bad rep because people are like, oh, it's unstable, they're militant and things like that. But I say that makes me a warrior. Like
Mm-hmm.
I represent that. And I love how you represent Visayas, like
Yeah.
always. That's beautiful. But let's get into it, Big Flip, talk about it. It's not just about, how like dope the music is. It's also a big message there too. And
Very big message. Yes.
yeah, please talk about it.
I think Big Flip to me was a play on like culture, like street culture, flipping money, getting to it. Like a lot of ways, like hustling, motivated. And some people may get it legally, some people illegally, depending on their situation, their connection. So I grew up on both sides of the fence. Now I'm like a boss, a datu in my own right, running a youth center. I got mentors under me. I provide for a lot of support for a lot of people, including my own family. You know what I mean? But I remember at one point I was in the streets making, flipping little things here and there, involved in criminal activities and just getting by. It was the culture, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like growing up as an immigrant in America, the genre that I related to the most was hip hop, even though I wasn't Black or Latino. And shout out to my Black and Latinos. I'm just a guest in this. You know what I mean? I'm just a guest. Um, they gave me a platform to speak my own story. And I grew up around minority groups. I grew up around Mexicanos and Black folk, and people that were mainly in the streets or in and out of jail. So I think the word flip was meant to multiply something, to make something out of nothing and continue to flip it. And another thing is that I'm really tapped into community out here, like my Les Gas community, Arnis, um, Filipino martial arts. I'm in there, and a lot of people that are in the group as well have their own communities. Like Magna Cuisina is like a big restaurant here in Portland. the Bayanihan Center, like those are all my friends that started it. Like I remember being in organizations with them, building with them and struggling with them for things that needed to change in the Philippines. And, you know, we educated each other on our true history, the history that they didn't talk to us about in American education. You know what I'm saying? So Big Flip also meant multiplying education, multiplying knowledge, noticing and realizing and being aware that most Filipinos that are growing up don't really understand their history. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just acclimation to to surviving in America, being Americanized, or if it's colonialism mentality, or if it's a lost identity, is what I usually see in a lot of Filipinos, is that they grow up in different neighborhoods and they get taken into other minority groups and they lose their own identity in the process. You know what I mean? So yeah. I think it's important to multiply that knowledge and remind us of who we are. Another thing is what I'm doing right here, Youth Center. That's a big flip. We building generational, programs that will impact the next generation. It's not just specific to Filipino culture. A big flip could relate to anybody flipping their culture. You know what I mean? And then lastly, taking the word flip, which means effing little islander people, and flipping that whole thing and turn it into a flip side. You know what I mean? And we're big islander people now. And that's another thing, is that we're not just Asian. We have historical roots in Asia. We have that in us and that relationship. But really, we're Austronesian. We eat with our hands. We pagbabatok. We got our tattoos. And we're really connected to our islander brothers and sisters through the ocean, through the currents of the ocean, through that migration, through that warrior culture. That's why I talk about Basayas a lot, because Basayans are so, like, man, I'm like, all y'all need to be tatted up right now. Like, come on, man. Let's get our tattoos. Let's get back to warrior stuff. Stop being so like humble and so like submissive. And we need to fight, because our ancestors fought and they didn't fight for us to be very submissive. And I think we're still dealing with that today. So Big Flip to me is about organizing our culture and showing the beauty of our culture while educating the community.
Wow, wow. I mean, that's like so much there. Yeah. And then, the thing that you said, like, you wonder why. And I think it's been a combination of that, because me growing up Afro Pinay, I mean, I thought being Filipina meant you wear one of those Maria Clara and Barong. It was so like conservative, but you also know that it didn't feel so natural. You don't fit in with that. And I think that is one of the reasons why people love your video and love your music, because that energy is intense. You feel community. You feel like it feels real. I mean, I'm not going to just say it feels real, because in conversation with you, I feel like that is a mirror, like a reflection of your for real life, with real people. So how did that come about, by the way, like gathering the community like that? And talk about the video, please.
I lost a lot of sleep over that video. It was really hard for me. It was really hard for me. A lot of it I did on my own, and I have a team with me, but I was the perfect person to do it. The problem with energy management is time management. Is I have a son, I have a family, I have maintenance on my house. I run 40, 50 hours a week here, sometimes 60 hours a week, just running this program. And then I got music on the side, you know what I mean? And then I'm a coach at Not Street Boxing, Matt Dishman. That's why I say, if it ain't Not Street, you're going to hear me say Ayoko. It's like I'm loyal to Not Street Boxing. That's what raised me. And then Arnis and Les Gosh, like I go to these things every single week. Not every single week, but for the majority of the time, I make those, right? And when I'm participating in these activities and helping kids out, it's not just teaching them how to fight. It's teaching them their knowledge and history. It's figuring out what's going on at the house. Like, why are you fighting? What are you fighting for? Figuring out their personalities, how they doing in school. It's more than just fighting. It's more than just disciplining yourself to get in the ring or hold up a stick. You know what I'm saying? So I think that the reason why the video looks so powerful is because of my relationship with each community, that I was able to, by the grace of Makako, that's creator in Hiligaynon, I was able to have these relationships and delegate and asked people to mobilize, like people at the Bayanihan Center. I asked them for help and they helped mobilize some stuff. So there's a lot of delegation involved, but creating the merch, paying for the food, like shout out to Carlo La Magna from Magna Cuisina. He helped me out and all the staff there. And then I got pares all over Portland that I've been bled with for 10 decades, like decades plus, that sent like Romel, the food truck that you see there with the Filipino flag on it. Like, so, the community came together and we just organized. It was a lot of phone calls, a lot of consistency, a lot of late nights. And it's hard to like try to keep my face looking good through all of it too, because sometimes my eyes be like sunken in, you know what I'm saying? But that's what I think it is like it's a reflection of that. And the artists that I have on it, Swiggle Mandela, JR the Barber, Taryn, those are people that I've known in the community for a long time that are artists in the community. And I felt, what better way to represent Filipinos being in Portland than using our voice all together. So I reached out to them personally, like 2 years before the project dropped, to get them in the studio. And luckily I won a grant to pay for everything twice. I won a grant twice to pay for everything. So this is like, man, the grant gave me like 3,000 one year and then 3,000 the next year. And then I had to come out of pocket like 2,000 of my own money just to support this. So it's expensive to make music. So younger artists got to understand that, like, you trying to hit this quality, you better keep a budget. You better understand financial literacy. You better understand professionalism and relationships so that you can really access these funds and multiply it and flip it. So I feel like I'm an example of what it means to be a big flip and what it means to multiply.
Yeah, in so many ways. Yeah, look how many different meanings you have, like such the perfect word. Yeah. So it also goes to show the power of community.
Very much so.
Yeah, people have to remember that. Yeah, we got power right here on the ground, because I think especially young people trying to get into the industry, they feel like, oh, I got to go viral on TikTok. Oh, I have to like they think that they have to do it a different kind, or do something flashy, like be showing you wearing Louboutins and stuff like that. But community is not to be negated either. Like, it's so important.
Most definitely. I think that there's a lot of songs that people can do with 4 or 5 people, even solo. You can present a message, do it in a positive way, and you don't have to negatively glorify the lifestyle. You don't have to. You can talk about it in a way that actually moves us forward. And that's what I think. Like, there's talking shit about someone and gossiping, and then there's talking about something and then doing something to progress that relationship. You know what I mean? And I see it in our Filipino community a lot of gossip. It's like cultural with the titas and titos and
the chismes.
Yeah, it keeps going. You know what I mean? But I feel like that adds to the problem. Like, when I see like Vietnamese communities and other communities and other cultures, they come together and they multiply what they have, and they have houses and they have businesses and they have all this stuff. And I'm like, damn, why can't we do that too? Why are we so divided like the islands? Why don't we look at it like we're connected by the river? We're connected by the ocean. Like, let's build. And let's show everybody how powerful we are together. And I think that's something that I want to keep doing, is like bringing us all together. Like, people in the Bay Area, people in LA, San Diego, Queens, like, they hitting me up. They're in my inbox and just like talking about what they can add to the next project. I'm trying to figure out how to connect all these dots. So when I pull up to Frisco, 100 flips with cars, whips, bikes doing wheelies, people representing their logos. Like, I want to keep this going, not just in Portland, but we show we're Filipino. Let's go to Dubai. There's hella Filipinos out there, and they ain't all nurses. Yes. Some of them are, high tech CEOs. Some of them are like on some boss shit. Some of them don't even do nurse stuff. You know what I mean? We can break that stereotype because it's real.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. There was so much representation. And I do think that, we are tired of this stereotype. We are tired of the stuffy image too of Filipinos. Like, it felt like a breath of fresh air. Like, just, like, I love it. You got Lolas, you got like all kind of people in there. Like, that's one of the things I really loved about it.
Right. So, yeah, me too.
Can you talk about the actual music? Like what was the inspiration? How did that come about? The recording of it?
The recording of it, I really wanted to represent Filipinos in Portland mainly. I felt like there people didn't even know flips were in Portland. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm one of them. You know what I'm saying? I'm one of them. And I already had a platform with music, and it was mainly local. Like I didn't really like have a bigger fan base like that. So I was like, man, why don't we do this big sound, you know? And I won that grant, booked the studio time. Shout out JLR Audio Productions. That's the homie. And then I hit up the Pares and I was like, hey man, like Terren's been my boy for a long time. JR, he like went out, he stopped like rapping and doing music. And I remember like when I first got out of prison in Portland, I got this show. Shout out to F Dot. I got booked for the show. It was funny because I was at the club and I was taking a piss, and this fool comes in and he just asked me if I wanted to rap at a show. I was like, hell yeah, yeah. I don't know. Maybe there's more details to that, but he booked me in the bathroom. So
Wow.
yeah, so I did this show in Hillsboro, and that's like a city outside of Portland, and JR was there singing. And you know when you're in like a predominantly white or Mexican town, or like anything that's like different than Filipino, and you see another Filipino, you're like, "Yee, what's good? Boy, como está? You know, just like me too. Where you from? You know what I mean? You get really hyped because it's like you seeing a reflection of yourself somewhere that doesn't really have a lot of that. So I've known him since then, and I reached out to him to be on this project. And then the Brody Swiggle, like he's been doing it. He has a platform out here, and I've done a lot of community work with him through Up and Over, my manager's organization, Up and Over Tour. We go into assemblies and speak to the kids and do judgment exercises and then perform for them and give them motivation and inspiration to continue their going after their goals. And that's the work that I did with Swiggle. Swiggle's half black, half Pinoy, Afro Pinoy like yourself. And he represents really strongly for his black community and has a lot of Filipino pride. So I thought that him being on this project was a good one too. And yeah, that's how it came about. We just, I came up with the concept, came up with the chorus, sent it out to them. Then we started working. I did the majority of the work in terms of organizing things and all that, but they definitely added their voice to the project. And yeah, turned out really good. And I'm glad that people are seeing them too, because Swiggle's East Visayan, I'm West Visayan. Those are two different Visayans, you know what I mean? And then you got Terran, who's Kampapangan and from Angela City. His roots are from Angela City. And then you have JR from Manila. So we have like a little mix of different cultures. And I think it's important for the viewers to understand that Filipinos are not just Filipino. Like we're all different in our own way.
Yeah.
We all have different languages and different customs and different histories. You know what I mean?
That's why it's annoying when people are like, you don't look Filipino or you're not Filipino and stuff like that. I get that a lot. But, we got 104 different ethnic groups, 7,000 islands. Like, what does a Filipino look like,
Right.
So diverse, so many different kind of people. I also like that you talk about Portland and things like that, because everybody thinks Filipino is Cali. I mean, it is Cali. A lot of people in Cali, but we other places too. So
all over the place.
Yeah,
we in Louisiana. We in like we got to America before the Europeans did.
Right?
We was out here and we didn't colonize nobody. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's history that is not that talked about either. And we've been in Mexico for a long time too. The Spaniards came to Mexico. We hop ship. Mexicans fuck with us. We brought the tuba. The tuba is what inspired tequila and mezcal. And I was like, man, I wonder why I like tequila.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it inspired that because we struggled together. We also struggled together in labor and work union with
Itliong. Yesterday was the day, yeah.
Yeah, the 25th, right? Yeah. So like these are things I want to pass on to my son, like. But it's important for me to continually educate myself. I don't know everything. I don't even speak Tagalog fluently. I'm learning. I'm learning as I go. That's why when I rap, it sounds kind of like it has like a unique sound to it,
Yeah, I do the same thing. Yeah, I'm a singer too. I didn't tell you that. I'm an
artist. Let's go.
Yeah,
Show me some. Let's go.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, I can show you some later. Or now, look, I don't care,
Oh, for real? Say something. What's up?
All right. I do hip hop too. So I have this song called
You got the voice.
Thank you. I do sing as well, but I'll send you my album. But
Okay.
I do this song called Magandang Morena, Magandang Itim. And the reason why is because my skin is morena, but I'm black. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
So
like
people,
that.
yeah, people mistreat me not because of my morena, but because of my itim, you know?
Right.
So the first verse is like, itim means black in Tagalog. I ain't trying to ruffle no feathers. I just want to start some dialogue. See, why should I be treated in disdain like I'm a stain? I'm trying to refrain from this poison in my brain. But didn't you know, insulting me ain't going to give you no hope. Entitled ones feel enlightened like papaya soap. I carry the blood of the Mansaka and the Mandaya. I am the Mindanao child returning. I walk through the fire. Morena and proud, beautifully team. It's just an ordinary day in the life of this queen. Yeah.
That was fire.
I do a little something.
That was
Yeah.
power. That was beautiful. Thanks for sharing that with me.
Yeah.
That
No,
was
thank you. Thank
galing,
you.
galing.
But here goes the question, because I'm sure as an artist, you get asked this a lot. Uh, I'm sure there's some young people watching this, or, people of any age watching this who are interested in being artists, who are interested in like moving forward. Like what kind of advice, especially for people who are part of our diaspora, like what would you say to them?
Mm. I think one of the most important things is tap into your resources, tap into your community, reach out to those that have been there and done that. I think there's a big gap between mentors, elders, the older generation and the younger generation. And I feel like that needs to stop. Also, if you're older, you should reach back. You're at a position to give back. You should do it. You know what I mean? So it takes all of us to come together. And for instance, you're in a community that really doesn't have people that you can tap into. Use the internet. The internet is super powerful. You can hit up people, set up a time to meet with them. A lot of us that really do this, if you come at it with a humble attitude and you want to grow and learn, it's very unlikely that someone will turn you away and not give you some knowledge or history or some sort of tips or advice. You know what I mean? So definitely tap in to people, try to identify people that you want to be like, people that you see successful.
Mm-hmm.
And really, I think it's important to also be aware of what success looks like. Just because someone has money in the screen doesn't mean they're balling.
Yeah.
They could possibly be in a lot of debt and they could possibly be faking all that. I'm gonna tell you right now, like I make some good money doing what I do, but I'm still in a Toyota Corolla. So you don't see me rolling around in a fancy ass whip. I'm gonna get one day, but I'm gonna make sure I can buy it 3 times before I buy it. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna do it for the look, you know? I'll hit up the homie that has the car to do it for the look. You know what I'm saying? But I just think it's important to kind of define what success looks like.
Yeah.
And understand that and keep a budget too. Keeping a budget, like learning Google Sheets is really important. Understand how much it costs to, you know, knock out a video. And also that's just one of the budgeted line items you have to prioritize is the video, the quality, you got the recording studio time, and then the marketing. The marketing is big. That's like half the battle is marketing. The last thing I would say is find your niche. If you're Filipino and you don't want to represent your culture, you got to find what it is. Are you talking about recovery? You talking about gangbang? You talking about whatever it is? How are you going to do that differently? Because if you sound like the next person, you're going to be lost in the crowd. You have to outshine everybody. And I really think that being authentic to yourself is the best thing that you can do. And make it about the people, not just you. That's my best advice is make it about the people.
That's great advice. Like being authentic. A lot of people try to follow what's popular, and all of us have something that is our shining star. So yeah.
There's a way to do it though. There's a way to like remix what's popular and still be authentic to yourself. You know what I'm saying? So it's like kind of like a mix of both. And also there's a science to like sociology. There's a science to like how people how societies work and how they process information. And like on TikTok, 15 to 30 second or 5 to 7 seconds is like the window for people's attention span. You know what I mean? So like, and then also like what's popular in music right now is a lot of the gold, the flashiness, the violence too, you know, but maybe there's a way to still show that masculinity, masculine energy, and not glorify the negativity that all puts us in the system. Because once you're in the jail system, once you have a felony, it's going to be so harder to get money. It's going to be so harder to flip stuff without going back to jail. And once you're in jail, you flipping little weight for what? To get top ramen, to get some coffee, to get what? You don't want to be on a boat somewhere in the Philippines. You don't want to be like, you know what I mean? So it's like, in order to do that, there has to be a lot of discipline and a lot of education and awareness to navigate that. And I'm not saying it's easy, especially if you're in a very negative environment. But I'm an example of someone who came from that. And I think there's a way out, especially if you lean into those positive supports.
Yes, absolutely. So this is my last question. What's next?
Oh, what's next? Man, I got a lot in the works, man. I got a lot, my project wise, just staying consistent, sticking to that quality and traveling a lot is what's next. I think for me, my goal is to continually uplift my people through the art form of making dope ass music, but still putting in that education stuff, you know, and lifting up that pride. And then also collaborating with people, like people that have been there and done that, like Bamboo. I want to rap with Bamboo, Ruby Ibarra.
Yeah.
I want to rap with her one day, you know, and really like, and I don't want to always rap about Filipino stuff too. There's more to the human experience than just like being Filipino. There's emotions, there's death, there's burying people, there's making goofy songs and just flexing, you know what I mean? So I think it's important to flex and make songs that are motivational and inspirational that relate to all cultures. But I definitely want to be a part of those that are adding their voice to the struggle. And that's really what my moves are gonna be based upon from here on out, is like making sure that it continues to flip, and the flip is gonna keep getting bigger and bigger until I'm done doing it, you know?
Yeah, I love that. I have a question that is coming from Asiana Post, actually. And the question says, how did you figure out that that was the right beat for the song and the horns? It seems to really like the horns that you have.
And I just go through beats. And that song really hit me because it sounded like a wake up call. Dun, dun, dun. It's like once you hear it, you're like, oh, it's time to get to it. Let me get this workout in. Let me wake up a little early. Let me knock out that goal, you know? And also it's like a dun, 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 almost like it's like gets your attention. But to make it more put more of our culture in it, I had the homie put the homie Jano, who does my engineering. I had him put the Kulintang in it. It was actually a producer, Tony Ozier, found it, but he put it in there. But yeah, the bells, the high bell drums, I put it in the chorus to give it that cultural vibe and show a part of our instruments. And then that bass, once the bass hit, game over. I was like, man, you're going to be hearing that all over town. You got to feel it. You got to feel the rumble sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
It was a good mix. I feel like that beat was a good mix. Shout out to Young Pear. He really did it.
Nice. And it matches the energy, like with the video, that intensity. Like,
yeah,
I love that it's fire. Like you can feel that. Yeah.
Word. So, I'm excited to hear your music. You got some bars.
Thank you. I'm gonna send it to you. I mix up some ballads, you know, you got to give them a little bit of the sexy, you know what I'm saying? And then hit the bars, you know, like a mix of all of that. Well, I think these are all the questions. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your commitment to community, you know, keep inspiring these people out here, our family, you know what I mean? Like our people, our community. Yeah, we need that. We need that.